Welcome aboard our deep dive into Advanced Micro Devices Incorporated (AMD). If you've ever wondered how analysts arrive at a stock price target, or why AI and machine learning hype can send chipmakers into orbit, you're in the right place. Strap in, because today we're unpacking more. Analyst price targets: $128.21 average, high $200, low $95. Who are these analysts anyway? Before we dive into the numbers, let's get some context. When we say 41 analysts, we're talking about Wall Street research teams at banks like Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, Barclays, and boutique shops like Wedbush or Rosenblatt. These analysts pore over AMD's financials, product roadmaps, competitive positioning, and macro trends to issue targets, numbers they believe represent a fair share price 12 months from now. Average target: $128.21, high estimate, $200, low estimate, $95. These figures aren't plucked out of thin air. Instead, each analyst builds detailed financial models projecting revenue, margins, earnings, and then applies a valuation multiple. Some are more bullish, hence the $200 target, while others are more cautious, the $95 ones. The average, $128.21, aggregates these views into a consensus expectation. Current price versus target: the 8.12% upside. At the time of this, AMD's share price sits around $118.58. If you take the $128.21 consensus target, here's the math on the upside. In plain English, the average analyst thinks AMD could be about 8.12% higher in 12 months. That's roughly an extra $9.63 per share. Not a life-changing windfall, but still a nice bump, especially if you're holding thousands of shares. Why 8.12% matters, or doesn't? Reason to buy: if you believe those 41 analysts have it mostly right, an 8% return plus any dividend, if AMD ever pays one, and potential share buybacks might be worth the risk, especially in a market where the S&P 500's expected return is closer to 6 to 7%. Reason to sober up: on the flip side, 8% in 12 months is hardly a blowout. If you think AMD is going to be a runaway winner, you might consider the $200 high target, a plus 68.6% upside, more relevant. Conversely, a $95 low target signals a potential downside of minus 19.9%. So the risk-reward varies widely. It's like hearing 41 weather forecasters predict it'll be 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit next Saturday, Sabbath, the Lord's Day. Average says 75 degrees Fahrenheit, but one says 60 degrees Fahrenheit and another yells, "Heat wave! 95 degrees Fahrenheit!" You have to decide. Do you pack a jacket or sunscreen or both? AI and machine learning proliferation, the engine of demand. Data, the new oil, and GPUs/CPUs are the refinery. Every minute, humans generate billions of data points: social media posts, e-commerce transactions, IoT sensor readings, DNA sequences, satellite images, you name it. AI and machine learning (ML) systems need to crunch that data, learning patterns and making predictions. But here's the kicker: well-trained AI models require massive compute. Training a large language model, think GPT-like systems, can require hundreds of petaflops/s days of compute. Inference, actually using the model, demands high-throughput GPUs or specialized accelerators to return results in milliseconds. Every self-driving car, every voice assistant, every recommendation engine, all of them generate and consume enormous compute power. The result? Insatiable demand for powerful CPUs and GPUs. Global AI and ML market. In 2023, AI hardware spending was about $90 billion. By 2028, it's projected to explode past $150 to $200 billion, fueled by data center expansion, edge computing, and AI as a service platforms. Data center counts: hyperscalers, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, are building new AI superclusters every quarter, each with tens of thousands of GPU accelerators. If you think the internet was revolutionary in the 2000s, wait until you see the scale of AI servers in the 2020s. It's like going from a handful of gas stations to a city's worth of nuclear power plants overnight. Except these power plants are churning out intelligence instead of electricity. By the way, if you are benefiting from the content so far and want more like this, like the video, it means much to me. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notifications bell, and comment the word more. Just go ahead and type the word more so I know. Now that you have commented, let's continue. How AMD could hit $1.5 trillion in market cap, new ride. When we talk about AMD hitting $1.5 trillion, we're entertaining a 7.5 times increase from today. That's akin to SpaceX's 94 times boost from $1.3 billion in 2012 to $125 billion in 2024. But on steroids. How could such a giant leap happen? Let's break it down. Macro trends, AI data centers, and the edge. AI boom continues. By 2030, global AI demand could hit $300 to $500 billion in hardware spending annually. If AMD captures 25 to 30% of that by offering competitive, cost-effective solutions, that's $75 to $150 billion in AI hardware revenue per year. At a 30% gross margin, that's $22 to $45 billion in gross profit. Data center CPU wars. Let's assume AMD grabs 50% of the data center CPU market by 2030 to 2032, up from 30% today. With the data center CPU market at $30 to $35 billion annually, that's $15 to $17.5 billion in annual CPU revenue for AMD. At a 50% gross margin, that's $7.5 to $8.75 billion in gross profit. Consumer and gaming. If AMD's Ryzen and Radeon lines maintain 40 to 45% share in PCs and consoles, total consumer CPU/GPU revenue by 2030 might hit $15 to $18 billion. With a 35 to 40% gross margin, that yields $5.25 to $7.2 billion in gross profit. Software/subscribers and BRIAM. Suppose AMD's BRIAM-powered software solutions generate $5 to $7 billion in subscription or license revenue by 2030, with 80% gross margins, since software is inherently high margin. That's $4 to $5.6 billion in gross profit. New verticals, automotive, autonomous vehicles, infotainment. Suppose AMD snags 15 to 20% of the AI/compute market in self-driving chips, say $5 to $6 billion by 2030. Edge and IoT. With edge AI devices proliferating, another $3 to $4 billion potential revenue at 40% gross margin yields $1.2 to $1.6 billion in gross profit. To hit a $1.5 T market cap with $15 billion annual net income, AMD would need a PE of 100 times, a number reserved only for companies with truly explosive growth. Think Tesla at peak, some FANG names in their early heyday. That means investors would have to believe AMD's earnings will jump from $15 billion in 2032 to $50 to $60 billion by 2035 to 2040, making the 100 times multiple more palatable. Should you buy AMD now? Buy on dips, swing traders. If AMD falls into the $110 to $115 range on a market sell-off, that could be a solid entry, especially if you believe AI demand will continue surging. Dollar cost average. Long-term commit a fixed amount, e.g., $2,000 monthly, to AMD for 12 to 24 months. Your average cost might land around $125, offering a margin of safety if you think AMD will reach $150 to $200 over the next year or two. Position sizing and diversification. Treat AMD as a high-conviction position but cap it at 5 to 10% of your total portfolio. Keep the rest in broad market indices, defensive names, and maybe a few other chip stocks, Nvidia, Intel, Marvell. Should you hold AMD? If you currently own AMD and believe in the long-term AI/data center/consumer story, hold through short-term volatility. Check in on quarterly guidance and competitive moves. If AMD continues to beat estimates and ramp new products, you're likely on the right track. If AMD's share count balloons, and margins start thinning, due to price cuts or rising costs, or if AI chip demand softens unexpectedly, consider taking partial profits and redeploy into other growth areas. If we fully obey the Lord, the Creator of heaven and earth, and carefully follow all His commandments, He has promised to set us high above all the nations of the earth. Deuteronomy 28. We shall be blessed when we come in and when we go out. I appeal to you to accept God and let Him be your guide, for He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. Deuteronomy 31 verse 8. Want more information? Please check the description section. That's the end for now. If you have watched until the end, drop a comment like this: I stayed until the end. Just comment that I stayed until the end. When I see this comment, I will give you a heart. 3 more favors I request from you. First, like this video, subscribe and then turn on the notifications bell. If you do this, you greatly encourage me to continue bringing to you insightful content. Do not miss out on our future videos full of insight. All I am asking is your subscription. Thanks for joining us today. Your support means so much to us. Do not hesitate to share this video to help someone who may benefit. I recommend that you watch the next video, subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts about today's video. Wish you God's blessings and care. Faith and prayer will do what no power on earth can accomplish. See you in the next video by God's mercy.